Collin Monda, and this is my second blog for the opening sequence. This time we're actually going to be working on the piano falling through the sky that intermittently is a part of the opening sequence. It sort of separates some surreal vignettes, as though the piano falling wasn't surreal as well. It's just more realistically portrayed. It's the way I'm going for it. There's a couple of ways you could approach it. You could have, the really fluffy cotton ball kind of thing that's really fun but really doesn't seem to have too much consequence. Or you could actually try to do it pretty realistic, shooting the piano, dangling on a green screen, getting some aerial footage of the clouds and the sky. And ideally that's the way I would do it. I feel like this shot really needs to have some consequence, and Elise needs to really feel like she's being punished for her evil thinking. But considering this is kind of the sequence to get us funding for the entire thing, it's not really in the cards. So unfortunately I do have to go the route of something more like a cotton ball cloud sky setup, but I'm going to approach it in a little different way, sort of trying to conceal the medium. So I've devised a plan that involves a couple of shadow boxes, which are essentially frames with multiple layers of glass that allow you to produce a little bit of depth for these little cotton ball clouds, which I'll be making out of cotton balls and Q-tips. Q-tips actually have a little higher resolution fuzz for me to work with, so I'll be doing some of that. I've got a couple of computer printouts. They're really not the nicest printouts you've ever seen, but I'll use that for the sky gradient in the background, which I will backlight to give it kind of that atmospheric glow. And then I'll have an image of Duluth, Minnesota that's from Google Earth, essentially looking down. Because the shot we're tackling is actually a 90-degree tilt from looking at a piano and falling with the piano to then camera rotating, looking down and watching that piano fall away from us down toward the earth. So it's our trickiest shot of all the piano fallings, and I like to approach the trickier ones first, because once you get those developed you can kind of do the rest. So the proof today is whether or not we can actually make a nice looking sky that doesn't completely ruin our suspension of disbelief for the audience. And so I basically shot my images of the clouds, the cloud layers up above, the atmospheric clouds, as well as the horizon type cloud line, and then eventually the looking straight down through the clouds toward the earth. And I stitched them together into kind of a vertical panorama that has a few different kind of camera angles embedded within it. And what that does is, as we move a motion graphics camera down our image, it actually looks as though we're tilting the camera rather than just moving down a singular image. And the reason I didn't just play back the frames I shot as a video is that it would have that flickering effect that stop motion generally produces. And it was important to me to not let the audience know the medium so much here, just so we can keep them kind of immersed and feel the consequence. So that's why I approached it that way. Then lastly, I found a free 3D piano model, added a really lovely wood grain shader, and just virtually inside of Maya software mimicked what the camera would be doing in this shot, falling down with the piano and looking down. It's actually a little more complex than that. The way I've designed it, we start looking at a piano that's completely level to our view, so it feels completely ordinary, and we're in close enough that we have no idea where this piano is. And as we pull back, we rotate to reveal that the piano is actually falling completely sideways, and that it's actually falling down through the sky. So I've got to add a little bit of a twist in there to the whole animation and the camera angle, which makes things extra challenging, but I sort of love these challenges. And so here's what you have. You've got most of the twist of the piano and the falling thing, and it's a little bit floaty still. It's not perfect, but it's enough to convince me that this kind of a skyscape I've created here can really work and doesn't look terribly cottony and all that kind of thing. So really, we can check off the sky for the piano falling and move on to how we're actually going to shoot a piano that looks like it's falling.